News. I'm Tom Rigotti. The Vatican is announcing a cause of death for Pope Francis. Fox's Alex Hogan reports.
Pope Francis suffered a stroke. He went into a coma and then died of heart failure. The Vatican announcing that sad, grim news, sending shockwaves around the world. This comes as people mark the man that he was, the Pope and the leader of the Catholic Church that he was.
9 days of official mourning are underway. President Trump has announced he will attend the funeral. Fox's Mark Meredith has more reaction from the president.
Today, during the annual Easter egg roll on the South Lawn, the president offered his support for Catholics worldwide.
We love you all. We're with you all.
Vice President Vance has yet to talk on camera about the Pope's passing, but the timing is notable as the vice president was just in Rome.
Vance releasing a statement on X saying, "I was happy to see Pope Francis yesterday, even though he was very ill." America's listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Tonight, breezy this evening, otherwise clear, reaching a low of 68. Winds south to southeast, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, breezy with plenty of sunshine, high 87 to 95. Tuesday, plenty of sunshine, high 84 to 89. I'm AccuWeather's Jillian Ford on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
The Rio Grande Valley's news, weather, and talk station. News Talk 710 KURV and KURV.com.
News Talk 710 KURV.
KONDA. Happy Monday. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. This is your 956 drive home. I'm Zach Cantu along with the living legend Davis Rankin. Your home for Houston Astros baseball up against the Toronto Blue Jays. Astros hosting tonight, and we'll broadcast all the action from Minute Maid Park tonight at 7. First pitch. Your home for Houston Astros baseball. News Talk 710 KURV, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. The big question on a lot of people's minds right now, why ain't we learning them kids to read good? Joining us on 710 KURV with the answers to all that and more. What are we doing right now to help bridge the gaps that are out there? From Sylvan Worldwide is Susan Valverde, president, joining us now. So what's the main problem here that we need to understand in educating our children?
Wow, that is a loaded question. So I'd say you're probably, let's put some context around that. So you're probably referring to some pretty alarming scores that we've received recently where we see students struggling at rates that we haven't seen before. So basically the National Report Card, NAAP, we're seeing the lowest proficiency levels in reading in decades in Texas. And so if we want to unpack that a little, I'd say first, when you compare reading scores, it's important to consider scale and complexity. The larger states like Texas, California, for example, compared to the top performers on that list. The top performers on that list are New Hampshire and Massachusetts. So the larger states have student populations exceeding 6 million kids, and the higher performing ones are under 1 million kiddos enrolled in public education. So frankly, I think their systems are very different. It's not necessarily an apples to apples comparison. You've got centralized and uniform support. It's easier to execute different strategies. So the core challenge isn't just performance. I'm not discounting that we have a lot of work to do, but it's definitely delivering quality results at a large scale. And our classrooms just look very different than some of the higher performing states.
Let's go back like 20 years. Growing up, I was taught the phonics program, and I don't remember who was the one that came up with that curriculum. The name escapes me, but it was a long time ago. Fast forward, let's say 5 years ago, maybe. My son going through school. No, actually, no, that's more than 10 years ago. But my kid going through the reading stages and learning all that stuff. It seems like they're being taught to fill in the blanks when they're reading sentences. I don't know how to explain it, because they'll get to a sentence and they'll see a word that looks like a word they might know, and then they'll put that word in there without really trying to sound it out. Have we moved on from the phonics system?
Well, so that's interesting. So we have not. Phonics are still very foundational, and it's now called the science of reading. That's what's happening in the younger grades, and Texas is making great strides in promoting the science of reading. The implementation is a little uneven still. But we're still teaching decoding and basic phonics. But keep in mind that what happens in a classroom nowadays, it probably didn't exist when I was in school, definitely, is that we have this pressure of a state assessment. And it isn't the type of assessment that we used to have where it was just sort of get a baseline and to compare different schools. It was definitely it impacts funding. It's a high stakes accountability game. And so, for example, this is what is happening in a Texas classroom. So there's mandated curriculum pacing. So like in the month of February, a fourth grade teacher, a fourth grader, we have to be teaching reading and writing of persuasive text. So you're analyzing the author's intent, your arguments, your supporting evidence in a written document. But the question is, how can a teacher or a child be expected to do that proficiently if they're still struggling to sound out the words? If phonics, for example, was something they struggled with, or basic vocabulary wasn't mastered in the earlier grade levels. So what we're seeing is that, if I put this another way, is that we get scores. Everything that we're seeing on the results are for 4th and 8th grade, and then we tend to put resources there. That's the normal approach to solving a problem. So we put resources in 3rd and 4th grade reading, or in middle school, but reading foundation and comprehension skills and literacy in general, those foundations are really, really important to go back to kinder, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. Those are gaps from prior grade levels that we need to go back and fill that, instead of just hammering 4th and 8th grade level content. So I think that's the key difference between when you were in school, when I was in school, and what's happening in today's classroom, is that the teachers have to have this mandated pacing of what they have to be covering, whether the child's ready or not.
Joining us on 710 KURV is Susan Valverde at Sylvan Learning Worldwide, the president, joining us right now to talk about why reading in school is kind of difficult right now. Davey, your question, go ahead.
My question, Susan Valverde, is it really as dangerous as it appears? I'm on the website of the National Assessment Governing Board, and the headline is, "The nation's report card shows declines in reading, some progress in 4th grade math. Hoorah." But I gather we're on a trajectory to where nobody is learning how to read, or almost nobody. It can't be that drastic, can it?
The scores are pretty shocking. And so I hope, always when you have a problem and some alarming news, when you see these declines, I think the right people are at the table and trying to solve the problem. And the problem is that there's a complexity even in what to solve for. If you think, Davis, that we are actually pretty proud of this as Texans, that we have a rapid growth. Mm-hmm. We're one of the fastest growing, most diverse student population in the U.S. So with that comes a lot of challenges. So over 60% of the students in Texas currently in Texas classrooms are either economically disadvantaged, and a large percentage are English language learners. In Houston, Houston ISD being one of our largest, most diverse schools, there are at least 100 different languages spoken at home by students and their families. So the problem is much more complex. But yes, we should be alarmed, and this is a call to action. This is a chance for us to get a lot of things right.
Well, let me, in North Texas, I don't know where you live. The headquarters of this place is Bedford, which is in North Texas. My sister lives in Irving, and it's crawling. How's that for a word? Crawling with people from the subcontinent, all very well educated, all speaking English, and they all read. What the Indians and Pakistanis got going on that we can steal?
So I don't know about stealing. And by the way, I'm a proud resident of Rio Grande Valley. So I still live in McAllen.
Oh, okay.
And I'd say it's one of the bright spots across the state. And we are based in Dallas. But the children need more intensive support when the family at home speaks a different language and does not speak or read English. So we'll start there.
Which is a lot of people down here.
Yeah, and despite that, we're making great strides. And I'd say the other thing, Davis, that can't be ignored is the fact that in Texas and across the state, there's a second external factor. It's probably tied to our growth, but there is a huge teacher shortage crisis. The education between turnover and fewer people entering the field of education, we end up having more empty classrooms. I'll note that the larger states have a higher reliance on alternative certifications and emergency certifications.
Mm-hmm.
And there are entire districts, for example, where in rural areas in Texas where they lack access to a certified reading specialist and interventionist. So it's not just the home. There are also some real resources that we should be working on.
Is the legislature on top of this? There's a softball for you. Never mind. I withdraw the question.
No,
we don't have
that's-
enough
no,
time
no,
to get
no,
into
no,
it.
no,
All
that's-
seriousness.
that's-
It's not
what I will ask is how long should it take, ideally,
Yeah,
optimally, to
good
bridge
question.
the gap?
Yeah.
I think we're in this for the long haul. We've got a couple of years of remediation, but I think the answer to that lies in the gap recovery efforts and what we're willing to do. So despite our booming economy, Texas does rank among the bottom of the states in terms of per student funding. We can't ignore that. There's also something else that's really critical. Other states that have gotten to go all over the country and that we serve, even in Canada, the schools, they follow a little different in terms of prioritization, a little different way of prioritizing. There are other states that have directed resources to interventions for COVID recovery, and that didn't go away in 2021. It wasn't a one-year problem. It's not a one and done. Education was profoundly impacted, and those recovery programs are still around in larger states that are outperforming Texas. So support services, intervention, timing, that could be the unlock to getting Texas back on track in terms of reading.
Where can we get more information? How do you guys help over at Sylvan?
So we do personalized learning. That's what we specialize in. And so parents can call us, go to our website, school districts. We have about 5,000 partners across the state of Texas where we serve kids inside of a school district. And just call 1-800-EDUCATE or go to sylvanlearning.com, and we're happy to help.
Is it just reading that you all do? You do everything, right?
No, it's reading. It's everything. K-12, all subjects. We do specialize in reading and math.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate your
Thank
time here
you.
today.
Thank you, Susan.
Susan Valverde, president of Sylvan Learning Worldwide, joining us on News Talk 710 KURV.
The news that's hot.
Connect residents to information. Stay tuned for updates.
Minutes away at the top of the hour on News Talk 710 KURV.
I was running until I wasn't. My hospital stay would have cost nearly $48,000, even with insurance. But with VA, I'll pay zero. And VA is the best, most affordable healthcare in America for veterans like me. Knowing that my family is waiting at home and a surprise medical bill isn't, that's good for my heart. My service was then, my benefits are now. Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Hi, this is Red Stegall, Texas rancher and musician. I'm inviting you to saddle up for the Alamo Statewide Stampede. We're challenging Texas counties, big and small, to raise the most funds for the Alamo. Join by donating livestock proceeds or any dollar amount, which will go towards restoring the mission site and battlefield, a state-of-the-art museum, and more. You can prove your small town has the biggest Texas state pride and make the Alamo so much more than you remember. Donate today at thealamo.org.
Our mom accomplished so much in her life. She was a great mother, wife, and school teacher. She amazed so many. When we lost her, we were so very sad, but comforted that she had pre-planned her funeral with the fine people at McCaleb Funeral Home. A live celebration would tell her big story.
Hi, I am Carla McCaleb. Along with my husband Mark and our caring staff, we know we are in the healing business because we hear it from families we serve. Please read our reviews about our life celebrations and fair and transparent prices for unmatched service and how we lift people up with our healing care and compassion. Celebrating lives since 1963.
The Valley's only life celebration home. To learn more about the choices you can make now so a future funeral becomes more of a celebration of life, call Carla at 956-650-2841, 956-650-2841, or visit their website, McCalebFuneralHome.com.
Our call letters, KURV. Our frequency, 710 AM. Our specialty, news and talk. News Talk 710 KURV and KURV.com.
Zach Cantu, David Du, and you. It's your 956. Drive home on News Talk 710 KURV. Davey do you watch wrestling?
No, I do not.
No. So you didn't watch WrestleMania?
No, and normally I would just lie and bluff my way through it. But because I know wrestling, you really keyed at wrestling. And
wrestling is bigger than it's ever been.
Why is that? Because
I don't know. There's a culture around it now. All these celebrities are into it. They want to be a part of it in some way.
Well, there was a story I saw, and I didn't read it, but why wrestling explains Donald Trump or why wrestling explains Washington or something.
Okay, so let me explain.
He's very big on
professional wrestling is the art of getting people to believe what is put in front of them and getting them to suspend that disbelief for as long as they can.
It's like politics.
Exactly, right? Like what I'm going to beat this guy at this place at this time because I don't like him because he did all this stuff to me. He did all this stuff to my family. And in Atlanta, Georgia, for the title, I'm going to beat this guy. It's a promo. What do you think politicians do when they're campaigning? I'm really great. You're going to love me. And in November, we're going to beat so-and-so at the ballot box.
But they never say, can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
These guys are just cutting promos on each other. That's all it is. So the politics and pro wrestling, very similar things.
But in pro wrestling, you got to perform. There's a difference. In politics, these problems tend to be, you don't get in there and two years later you're done, going to go home.
Right. I think Jim Cornette had summed it up the best, and I can't say it the way that he did because he swears a lot. But you see two guys on the side of the road. One's a little guy, one's a big guy, right? And the big guy is just wailing on the little guy, right? But then all of a sudden, you don't want to get involved either. You don't want to get involved because that guy looks way too big for you. But you're just going to watch over here and see what's going on. Well, all of a sudden, the little guy starts beating up the big guy. You're like, yeah, get him. He's a bad dude. Get him. Now, you might pay $5 to see a fight like that. And if you can pay $5 to see a fight like that, well, that's professional wrestling for you. He is getting even for you, whoever that person is. And that's politics, isn't it? That's politics. So-and-so, this politician, I don't like let's say conservatives versus liberals. I don't like what these liberals have been doing to our country. I don't like them telling us what doctors that we can send our kids to. I don't like what they're doing in the schools, whatever. I'm going to get even for you.
That's Donald Trump. Man.
That's everybody. That's everybody in politics. That's Bernie Sanders. That's AOC. That's Fetterman. That's Trump. That's Marco Rubio when he was campaigning. That's everybody. Politics and professional wrestling are incredibly similar.
Trump promises to do something to people you don't like. The others
they all say the same thing, Dave.
I'm going to bankrupt
They've all said the same thing. You can't tell me it's just Trump.
Well, Mickey Rourke was in a movie. I can't think of the name. I'm looking for it now. He was in a movie about a wrestler who had a heart problem, but he loved wrestling so much he couldn't stop. And he was alienated from his family. He was trying to get back together with his daughter, but he couldn't give up this thing.
One key thing, though, about professional wrestling is that it teaches you to follow a narrative, right? Because they're trying to tell a story as they're doing all this stuff. It's the same thing in politics. They're trying to relay to you a narrative that you keep track of. And sometimes there's holes in it, and it's just good recreational practice aside from politics. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home.
Hey everybody, Charlie Kirk here. Developed by doctors, Z-Factor uses a formula of 4 all-natural ingredients to calm your mind and relax your body so you can ease into deeper and better sleep. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free supplement, safe to take nightly, and you'll wake up rested and refreshed with no lingering drowsiness or groggy feeling. Z-Factor was developed by the creators of Relief Factor, so you can count on the science behind it. Getting more restful, restorative sleep every night will help you feel better and live better every day. So go to ReliefFactor.com. First-time Z-Factor buyers will enjoy a 46% savings, just $19.95 for a 30-day supply. Z-Factor is a 100% drug-free supplement. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That is the number 1-800-4RELIEF. So check it out right now and save 46% off your first order at ReliefFactor.com for better sleep, more restful sleep, deeper sleep. That is ReliefFactor.com for the 100% drug-free Z-Factor, ReliefFactor.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I thought, I'm ordering Balance of Nature. And from there, when I got it, it was about 3 months, and it really, truly worked for me. And I love the product, and I just get a kick out of commercials on TV. Everyone is trying to jump on the bandwagon, but your product is excellent. Very good. I like it a lot.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements today. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't wait. Now's the time to take action. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHARLIE.
History's unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburgh, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville.
Paying his respects. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump says he will travel to Italy for the funeral of Pope Francis.
President Trump says he and First Lady Melania Trump will attend Pope Francis's funeral. In a post on social media, the president says he looks forward to being there. The Vatican has not yet released specific details on the funeral, but the trip could mark the first overseas travel for President Trump during his second term. He is also expected to travel to Saudi Arabia next month. President Trump ordered flags flown at half-staff until the Pope's internment.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. The Vatican says Francis died after a stroke put him into a coma, which then led to heart failure. Francis had been in the hospital for more than a month for double pneumonia. He last appeared in public yesterday, where he delivered an Easter blessing and rode in the Pope mobile through St. Peter's Square. State Department spokeswoman Tammy Bruce defending the move by the administration to impose 145% tariffs on Chinese goods. She says the U.S. will come out on top in the trade war.
We're seeing a maneuvering, which China, of course, does not do very well. Donald Trump is, in fact, the best negotiator, the best deal maker in the world. China knows it. And finally, America will get at least a fair effort here for trade.
Bruce says the tariffs are a long-term change and says over 130 countries have reached out to negotiate deals with the U.S. since the new tariff plan has been put in place. Wall Street stocks tumbled as investors worldwide got more skeptical about U.S. investments due to President Trump's trade war and continued criticism of the Federal Reserve. The Dow lost 971, the NASDAQ off 415, the S&P minus 24. Harvard University suing the Trump administration to halt a freeze on more than $2.2 billion in grants after the school said it would defy administration demands to limit activism on campus. America's listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Judge is deciding what testimony can be admitted in the trial of Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022.
Prosecutors will be able to tell the jury in their opening statement that the only person alive who saw the killer described him as having bushy eyebrows. The defense said the surviving roommate's testimony will be unreliable because she was drunk and tired, and to allow that would be, quote, beyond repair. But in the end, the judge sided with the prosecutors. Kohberger's Amazon gun activity will be allowed, showing he bought a K-bar knife and, most importantly, a knife sheath that matches the one left at the murder scene. The state will be able to refer to a white Hyundai captured on multiple surveillance cameras just before the murders as the, quote, suspect vehicle. Kohberger drove a matching vehicle.
Fox's Dan Springer. Investigators say they match Kohberger's DNA to genetic material found at the scene. The federal government is taking aim at Uber.
The Federal Trade Commission claims the ride-sharing giant misled customers who were charged for its Uber One subscription service without their consent. FTC Chair Andrew Ferguson says Americans are tired of getting signed up for unwanted subscriptions that seem impossible to cancel. The FTC alleges that Uber's deceptive billing and cancellation practices violates laws which require online retailers to disclose the terms of the service, obtain consumers' consent that they are charged for the services, and provide a simple way to cancel a recurring subscription. An Uber spokesperson said the company is disappointed by the FTC's complaint, but is confident the courts will side with Uber's position.
Fox's Hillary Barsky. New rules coming for those who vote for the Academy Awards. They'll now be required to watch all nominated films in each category to be eligible to vote in the final round. Up until now, Oscar voters had only been encouraged to watch the nominees and vote in categories they felt qualified in. I'm Lee Silasera. This is Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast. Tonight, breezy this evening, otherwise clear, reaching a low of 68. Winds south to southeast, 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, breezy with plenty of sunshine, high 87 to 95. Tuesday, plenty of sunshine, high 84 to 89. I'm AccuWeather's Jillian Ford on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The City of McAllen is thrilled to offer your business an opportunity to apply for a matching grant of up to $15,000. The Refresh 50/50 grant was designed with your business in mind. Apply for the Refresh 50/50 grant to upgrade your storefront with improvements like new paint, signage, landscaping, art, lights, doors, and more. Take advantage of this amazing opportunity and apply today at www.refresh5050.com. The Refresh 50/50 grant is brought to you by the City of McAllen. Hablamos Español.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
It's Astros baseball later tonight as they host the Toronto Blue Jays. First pitch at 7:10. Powered by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women, Mission Economic Development Corporation, and News Talk 710 KURV. From the KURV Center, this is the 956 Drive Home.
All right, we're doing this. Put on your seatbelt, check your mirrors. Let's begin.
Buckle up and get ready to talk about today's headlines and topics important to you. Here's Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin.
Flying blind right now. There's something in my eye. I'm having a hard time reading. Not that I could read before, but you get the idea. I'm Zach Cantu along with the living legend.
Sound
Davis
it out.
Rankin.
Sound it out.
Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna feel my screen, my flat, smooth computer screen, and figure out what my copy is for today. I'm Zach Cantu. That's the living legend, Davis Rankin. This is your 956 Drive Home. On the program today, in about 13 minutes, I think, we're going to talk about what happens when the Pope passes away. How does that whole voting process happen? And is it like that movie Conclave? Because that movie sounded like it was a little bit of a funhouse mirror added to it, like a little bit of a caricature. But we have an expert on religious studies that we'll be talking to in just a little bit. Plus, everything in the Valley in the great state of Texas. That's coming up next on News Talk 710 KURV or 956 Drive Home.
And now, important moments in news history.
And then they say Trump's a bad guy because I'll say this. Don't pay the teleprompter company. And then he'll say, Trump didn't pay me. And they'll say, oh, Trump's a horrible human being. He's terrible. They gave me a pile of crap that this is the craziest.
This has been Important Moments in News History. Zach Cantu, 710 KURV.
At Rivetta's Machinery on the Expressway in Donna, the north side, they're bringing the best deals on Coyote equipment to you, to your job site, your farm, your backyard, actually wherever you guys agree to meet. Right now, you can take advantage of 0% interest or up to $6,000 cash back on Coyote track loaders and skid steers, machines built for maximum performance no matter the task. But don't stop there. They're also offering fantastic savings on Coyote tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles. And whether you're hauling, mowing, tackling some other big job, Coyote has the equipment to help you get it done. If you're looking for great deals and great service from a team that treats you like family, look no further than Rivetta's Machinery and Coyote, Kioti. Start your next project the right way by visiting Rivetta's Machinery in Donna or browse their deals anytime at mynewtractor.com. That's mynewtractor.com. Rivetta's for the long haul. See dealer for full details.
Hey, it's Ramsey from South Texas Comic Con, and we have a huge celebrity lineup this year, including comedy superstar Fluffy, TV legend David Hasselhoff, actress Juliette Lewis, and so much more. So come and meet celebrities at Comic Con. It's April 25th through the 27th at the McAllen Convention Center.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metal IRA Guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
Happy Monday. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. Hope you had a restful weekend and a very productive Monday. I'm Zach Cantu, along with the living legend, Davis Rankin, your 956 drive home. We are your home for Houston Astros baseball. And they are up against, where did I leave the thing? It's the Blue Jays, right, Toronto? Yeah, that's right. They're visiting the Astros in Houston. And we'll go to first pitch at 7:10 on 710. Your home for Astros baseball, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. McAllen has begun paying its last respects to Assistant City Manager Joe Vanat today. A public viewing happened at 4 p.m. earlier today, just an hour ago. The rosary will be held an hour from now. Funeral services will be held at the Sacred Heart Catholic Church at 1 p.m. tomorrow. He'll be buried at Palm Valley Memorial Gardens in Pharr following the service. Vanat was 69 years old when he died last week. Senator Big John Cornyn asking President Trump to support disaster relief efforts in South Texas. The Republican senator sent a letter to the president on Friday. Cornyn says the state of Texas has asked for an emergency disaster declaration following heavy rain and flooding in the Rio Grande Valley last month. You remember how much rain it was, Davey?
Lots. I mean,
wasn't it like a half year's worth or something like that? It was a crazy amount in one day.
Yeah, I wish I'd. It's one of those crazy figures, like more.
It was
more in 1 hour than we had.
A year's worth, something like that. It was a lot. The senator urged the president to provide all available resources from the federal government. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick calling on the Texas Senate to adopt the House's school voucher plan. On Friday, Patrick endorsed the House bill, which the House had passed on Wednesday. The Senate passed a slightly different voucher plan in February. Vouchers, part of the high priority list for Patrick and our triumphant governor of the mighty Republic of Texas, Greg Abbott. But there were some problems in previous sessions in the House. Abbott successfully supported the primary opponents of all those people that were problematic to school vouchers for this year's legislative session. Some county election officials aren't happy with a Senate bill that would place all 254 Texas counties onto the state's central voter registration system. At present, 32 counties use voter registration and election management software from private vendors. Senate Bill 2382 would require counties to use the Texas Election Administration Management System, or TEAM system. Yeah, I got a smirk out of Davey. This is
Yeah, I
probably the
wanna-
whole reason that they want to do it, just so they can say, "Oh, we got the team system. It's got an acronym and everything. Look at that. It's fancy."
What's the cited reason? This is the first time, I guess it's the first time I have heard this has come up.
Yeah, this is the first time I hear about it too.
Well, they want to make everybody prove.
Well, they
they're
were trying
citizens.
to. They were trying to slim down the, or not slim down. They were trying to secure,
Mm-hmm.
the voter registration process to make sure that everybody who is a
We've had
citizen here,
we've had so many people,
everybody who's supposed to vote votes.
hundreds, thousands of people voting who don't have the right to vote, especially illegal aliens. We all know that. The fact that there's no proof for it just shows how clever they are.
You know what they say, Davey? Vote early, vote often.
That's right.
Opponents say that the 32 counties are home to 75% of the state's voters who would not be affected if the present state system crashed or were compromised. So if the whole thing goes down, the whole state goes down. So they're worried about.
I think centralizing critical things like that makes a lot of sense.
There's
Just saying.
in the cybersecurity world, I know I've talked about this before. There's security and there's convenience, right?
And the two are often not in the same.
So the story that was conveyed to me was IBM, one of the most secure places for anything as a building.
Okay.
So picture 3 doors, right? Like if you had to get in the front door, okay, there's a security guard. Are you who you are supposed? Are you who you say you are? Right? You got the voter ID.
Are you
not the
really
voter ID.
Zach?
You've got the ID card.
Mhm.
I'm getting ahead of myself. You got the ID card. Security guard sees you. Okay, let him in.
You don't look
Then
like
you get to
Zach.
the first door. Does your ID card have the password for the first door? Yes. Okay. There's a second door. Second door, I need a password that they hand out once a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once a week, you get a different password. And if you're not somebody important enough to have that
Yeah.
password, you're not getting through that door. So let's say you do get through that door. You have to do it again with the third door. So it's convenience or security.
You have to know those passwords
You would have to be, one of the important people that has to have that password,
or a way to have stolen them.
which would be tough, which is why you change the password out frequently, which is why it would be once a week or once a day or whatever. Like, hey, here's this week's passwords for these doors.
Can you
or-
do it once an hour? I mean, is that realistic?
No, that's not realistic. But you get what I'm saying. It's inconvenience. It's levels of inconvenience that get between you and whatever data it is that you're trying to steal or acquire, whether you're supposed to have it or not, whatever. But it's security meets convenience. If it's convenient, it's not secure. And if it's secure, it's not convenient. That's the
Which do you
the gray area. That's the struggle that everybody has to kind of walk through.
which do you think we ought to do? I mean, I don't do dual. What do they call it? Dual something certification.
Yeah, two-factor two-factor authentication.
I've never done that because it's a pain in the butt. Now I may regret that, but I don't know what you do.
You may regret that. You may
So I
regret
should
that.
I should
Think-
suck it up.
It's like, oh man, this is so well. It's still kind of related to the topic because we're talking about security, right?
Yeah.
The more doors you have to go through, the more the hoops you have to jump through,
Yeah.
to achieve the objective, which in this case would be disrupting the voting system, the better.
We're up against, as a nation, some of the smartest cyber folks in the world, right? Russians. Think about it. Russia doesn't have a functioning economy as we understand it. I think there are elements of it, but by and large, China's different. I've never been to these places, but they seem to be very adept at cyber stuff. And it's not just the fat kid in his mother's basement in Maryland or whatever the cliche is.
Yeah, okay, not in Maryland, but it's somewhere in Russia.
They're
very well versed at the stuff.
So they're not
They
going
haven't, for some reason, North Korea.
Yeah, that's the one that fascinates me. North Korea, are they even in the 20th century? Well, apparently so. But that's who we have to prepare for. We don't have to prepare for Zach on a Friday night when he's got nothing to do. Hey, let's try this. Or it's the best hackers in the world, and they're not going to try it. We're the second largest state in the union and belligerent on top of that. They're not going to try it. Just for grins, they'll have too much vodka and decide to screw with Texas.
Let me tell you what I think. Yeah, we're very outspoken in Texas. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, we've run out of time right now. There's also, well, you know what? Let's do this. There's a bill that would create a new Texas cyber command. Since we're on the topic, Davey, that passed out of the state house. Experts say it's a big step forward when it comes to safety of both businesses and government-run utilities.
We have people looking into the research side. We have people doing detections, but responding to cyber attack, very few people have the experience.
It's just like any building, Davey, the information superhighway. You have a server, right? That's home to all of your information, all the stuff that you want to relate to people that should only have that information. And just like at any building, say whether at a school, a government office, or what have you, there's going to be strangers that are going to be, knocking on the windows, tapping on the doors, fidgeting with the door handles. I'm not supposed to be here, but I really want to get in. What do you do about that? That's cybersecurity. There's ways to get in through the doors. There's ways to pretend that you're somebody that you're not.
You're becoming a downer.
What do you mean?
Like
It's reality.
We can't do anything. We just have to accept the fact that we're going to get screwed over individually.
No.
All right.
No, it's risk assessment is what it is. Risk assessment. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. Coming up next on the program, Pope Francis passed away at the age of 88. What happens now at the Vatican? We'll talk to somebody who knows all about the process. Just coming up next on News Talk 710 KURV.
You're just minutes away from the bottom of the hour news. Stay tuned for the latest headlines. News Talk 710 KURV.
Dr. T's Primary Care, drt'sprimarycare.com. Enjoy a better quality of life, whether that means being lighter on your feet by losing some weight or getting some of that stress off of your shoulders. You'll feel much lighter either way. Talk to the experts at Dr. T's Primary Care. If that weight on your shoulders is trouble sleeping, they can help you out with that as well. Or maybe low testosterone. Yeah, they have all these services just for you. Even if you have the sniffles, stop on by. They are a primary care provider. It's in the name, Dr. T's Primary Care. If you're sick, show up. They'll take care of you, and they'll sit down with you and let them give you the evaluation. Take the blood draw, have them analyze the whole thing. Let them tell you what's going on and what their concerns are and how you can alleviate all that, fix all those things, optimize your hormones and all the chemicals inside of your body because they make you, act out as well. They offer services for men and women of primary care, low testosterone, menopause treatment, peptide treatment, and IV vitamin infusions, things that will help alleviate some of your symptoms as well. McAllen area, 956-803-0058. Harlingen, 956-368-5247. drt'sprimarycare.com. drt'sprimarycare.com.
There's a new optimism in the air and a fresh change sweeping across the country, and we think investors like you can have their best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. That's firstlibertyga.com, firstlibertyga.com.
This participation in a First Liberty Note is not intended to constitute the sale of any investment security. It is not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. First Liberty has never defaulted on any notes where it was the borrower.
The Valley's largest piano and organ sale is going on this weekend at Valley Keyboards, North 10th and Harvey in McAllen. If you're looking for a piano for your home, church, or school, don't miss this opportunity. Think you can't afford it? You'll find new and used pianos in every price range. Think it's not the right time? There has never been a better time. Choose from Yamaha, Roland, Rogers, Rittmuller, Steinway, and Baldwin. Concert grands, baby grands, disc clavier player pianos, organs, and upright pianos. All on sale at the lowest prices of the year with zero interest financing. The first 50 people through the doors each day are registered to win a free Roland piano valued at $1,000. If you've dreamed of playing the piano, we can help you find the perfect piano at an unbelievable price, plus free lessons with your purchase. Join us this weekend at Valley Keyboards, North 10th and Harvey in McAllen, and enrich your life with music.
Hey, it's Ramsey from South Texas Comic Con, and we have a huge celebrity lineup this year, including comedy superstar Fluffy, TV legend David Hasselhoff, actress Juliette Lewis, and so much more. So come and meet celebrities at Comic Con. It's April 25th through the 27th at the McAllen Convention Center.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Audio streaming on KURV.com. Powered by South Texas Buick GMC. McAllen Mission.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. Cop in the Cantu answer this fine Monday afternoon. How you doing? I'm Zach Cantu, along with the living legend Davis Rankin. You're home for Houston Astros baseball against Toronto. Toronto stopping by to visit in Houston. And we'll go to the first pitch at 710 on 710. You're home for Astros baseball, made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. Pope Francis has died after Easter due to a stroke. And what happens when a pope dies? Joining us on 710 KURV, Professor of Religious Studies with the College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts is Professor Matthew Schmalz, and he joins us now. So what happens in the days after the pope dies? There's the black smoke and the white smoke and all that stuff. What does it all mean?
Yeah, it's going to take us a while to get to the black and white smoke, because first there'll be a mourning period. Then we'll have Pope Francis's funeral, which will be a much simpler funeral than what has been observed for popes in the past. And then the cardinal electors, those who are going to choose his successor, will meet in what is called general congregations to discuss issues in the church. Then finally will be the conclave, where the cardinals will be locked away in the Sistine Chapel and choose his successor. Black smoke means they haven't reached a decision. White smoke coming from the Sistine Chapel's chimney means that a new pope has been elected.
Yeah, this is Davis Rankin. How old is this ceremony or this? I can't. They're not freelancing, right? They're following a script.
They're not supposed to be freelancing. In terms of the white and black smoke, that was an innovation that came in 1914 when it was decided that there needed to be an effective way to communicate how the conclave was going. There have been conclaves that have been months long in times past. There have been conclaves that have simply lasted one or two votes. And so we'll have to see here whether it's going to be a short conclave or a long conclave.
Do they politic like, because people, I assume are going to compare this to politics.
A good question is, how close to that process is it like that movie Conclave? Have you seen that movie that came out recently?
Yeah, it was a movie I liked, actually. And I think in some ways it was quite accurate. I mean, you don't have candidates declaring for themselves, but you do have factions who would support a particular candidate, and they'll jockey for position, try to make alliances, and maybe decide, as might happen this time, on a compromise candidate who will please the 2/3 necessary in order to be elected pope.
What are the, I guess, well, I don't know if you're privy to that kind of stuff, but the political things that they discuss behind the scenes.
How sacred is the discussion?
It's not like, I'm campaigning for more frankincense and myrrh during the mass.
The cost of frankincense has gone up. So
Yeah, the cost of everything has gone up, hasn't it? Well, there is in church law, which is called canon law, a prohibition against offering gifts or money to be elected or to have a particular office in the church. And it's a great sin called simony. So you wouldn't have people doing that, at least not explicitly, but you will have people giving a wink and a nudge and asking what they think about a particular candidate. So it's kind of a subtle, low-level politicking, but politicking nonetheless.
Yeah, this is Davis Rankin.
Joining us on 710 KURV is Professor Matthew Schmalz. Schmalz, Professor of Religious Studies at the College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts. Go ahead, David.
When they meet to decide, they close the doors and nobody leaves till they get a pope, or what? They can't talk to people.
That's how it used to be. What they do now is go back to a dormitory at night that's attached to the Sistine Chapel. But they do have electronic jamming devices installed, so there won't be eavesdropping, and you're not supposed to have outside communication, so that's blocked off as well. So the cardinals are isolated and until they make their decision.
Is there any evidence that that bad actors, North Korea, I think of Vladimir Putin, would you used to talk about blocking, would try to mess with people's heads or do something electronically to disrupt it? Does this happen? I mean,
I think there are fears that someone might do something political. There are fears that someone will reveal the internal politicking that happens in the conclave as a form of gossip. So secrecy is supposed to be maintained at all times, whether it's secrecy from gossip reporters and journalists or secrecy from bad actors on the international stage.
Let's get into the role of what the Pope actually does on a day-to-day basis. No, because it's really easy to just reduce it as, oh, he's God's figurehead for the rest of the Catholic Church, but he does a lot of stuff to where this is a position of power in a lot of ways that would be the target of manipulation, which is why Davis answered or brought up that question in the way that he did.
Yeah, I don't think it's far-fetched to think that, and especially now since we live in such polarized times, the Pope could easily get drawn into that divisiveness and be used by a political leader or any kind of bad actor. So there's always concern about that, and so security is pretty tight around the conclave until the cardinals make their decisions. And they're not supposed to reveal anything afterwards about what went on.
Is the inevitable the outcome, the winner, is that considered God's choice? I mean, is it a divinely inspired choice or?
Well,
not?
I think this is an interesting question actually, because I'm Catholic, and Catholics do believe that the Holy Spirit makes its presence known during the conclave.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't mean that people always listen to the Holy Spirit, because there have been numerous bad popes in Catholic history. So it's a complex question. Certainly Catholics believe that the Holy Spirit does influence things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people go along with what the Holy Spirit inspires them to do.
That was in the bad old days, right? When the popes were siring children and putting their relatives in positions of authority. That didn't happen now.
Yes, there is a history of that. I mean, that's absolutely true, especially during the Renaissance period, where you had popes who did have children, who did buy their office, and so forth. I mean, thankfully, those days are gone, but the politicking part of it still remains, I think, and that's something important to consider.
Do you have a favorite? Do y'all? I don't know how this works. Do y'all have place bets with each other about who's going to be the Pope?
I don't place bets with people.
I don't know if God would be happy with that one, David.
My wife wouldn't want me to place a bet on anything, so she does the slot machines, and I just watch. I think there are two people that I'm looking at, both from Asia. One is Luis Cardinal Tagle, who's a Filipino, who's close to Pope Francis. The other is actually from Sri Lanka, a cardinal named Malcolm Ranjith, who's both conservative in some ways and liberal in others, and could emerge as a compromise candidate, especially because he's on the older side, and I think they'll want a pope who's not going to stir up things too much.
Isn't I'm Protestant, but I was told or led to believe that while religion, not the Catholic Church, but while Protestant religion here is kind of in the doldrums, maybe, that in Africa it's on fire, and that's owed at least in part to Catholic missionaries. Is there any truth to this?
Well, I think in part there is. I mean, I would think, or I know that Africa is on fire for Christianity, both Protestant and Catholic. And I think what's really happened that's important in Africa is leadership has passed from missionaries, foreign missionaries, to African cardinals and bishops and priests themselves. And so that's where a lot of the energy is in the Catholic world. So we could see an African pope in the not too distant future.
One thing I find fascinating about all this, and first off, I want to get you back on if you're available sometime to talk about the priest shortage, because I was just alerted to this several months ago. My future brother-in-law is studying to become a priest, and it's just their lifestyle is just so fascinating. It's like I don't want to say it's like they're 9 to 5, but they're not on their knees praying all day. You know what I mean? But they actually have to deal with human stuff like we have to deal with. Like, I got to go to the bank and I got to take care of this.
They have to make car payments and balance the budget. So there's a lot of stuff they have to do beyond just praying. That's right.
That doesn't seem right.
There's an entire world, Davey. Yeah, that we got to bring up here. So I would love to have you back on the show again. Yeah. Appreciate your time with us here today.
Thank you.
And God bless you. Professor Matthew Schmalz at the College of the Holy Cross in Massachusetts, joining us on News Talk 710 KURV.
This is your home for Houston Astros baseball. News Talk 710 KURV.
If you have not been to Zamora's restaurants, well, you can fix that problem. If you've not been to Zamora's restaurant, you are missing out. But you kind of knew I was going to say that because I'm asking that question then prod your conscience. Zamora's restaurants have been around for half a century. Think about that. 50 years. They have been able over time to perfect South Texas Tex-Mex Mexican food. And I throw all those names, all those descriptors in there because we refer to it every different way. So if you like South Texas Tex-Mex, we've all had, I assume we've all had friends who go off, they go off to college, they go into the Army, and you can't get good Mexican food. I had a friend who lived in Pensacola, couldn't get good Mexican food there. Couldn't get it. It was nothing like here. So what does he do when he comes home? He goes to eat locally because there's just nothing like it. We just have a way. And Zamora's, as I say, 50 years to perfect it. Whether your taste runs to, Antojitos Mexicanos gives you a little bit of everything. Seafood gives you a little bit of everything. If you like beef, they've got steaks, and their fajitas are wonderful. And last week, I actually had pollo con mole, which is a chocolate-based sauce. Goes back to the Aztecs. It was fabulous. It was wonderful. And they give you a lot of mole sauce. So Zamora's restaurants, 2 in McAllen and 1 in Edinburgh, 7 days a week, specials morning, noon, and night. You're going to like the prices. You're going to like the service. You're going to love the food. Zamora's restaurants. Try them tonight.
This is your Financial Planning Minute. I'm Dave Barnes, Certified Financial Planner with Ameriprise Financial in McAllen. A will is the cornerstone of any estate plan. Everyone should have a will. You can leave property by will in 2 ways, specific bequests and general bequests. A specific bequest directs a particular piece of property to a particular person. A general bequest is typically a percentage of property or property that's left over after all specific bequests have been made. Non-probate property, like assets with a beneficiary designation, jointly owned property with rights of survivorship, or property held in trust, will not be acted upon by a will. A will can distribute property according to your wishes, name an executor to settle your estate, name a guardian for minor children, or create a trust. Be sure to talk to a qualified attorney about preparing a will. If you have questions, give me a call at 772-4200 or toll free 877-377-7555. I'm Dave Barnes of Ameriprise Financial.
Spotlight on Your Health, brought to you by DHR Health.
From the DHR Health Heart Institute, our guest today is Dr. Francis Dimtree.
I'm very impressed. Pretty much got every aspect of cardiology covered, anything that is needed. But at the same time, we also work closely with a heart failure specialist that does come to the RGV, and they're out of the San Antonio area. So they always provide us with a lot of help and feedback to get things done. CT calcium scores, what that helps to determine is how high risk are you for coronary artery disease, meaning blockages, atherosclerosis that's kind of building up, clogging that pipeline that feeds the blood to your heart. And it's a great chance for people, especially that are cardiovascular risk, that are diabetic, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, overweight. It's usually recommended for men over 45 and women over 40 to be screened at that point if they're concerned about their heart. And what it really assesses is how much plaque is starting to build up into your arteries with time as they calcify. That's what we're looking at. And it kind of lets us know, is this a chronic issue that needs to be addressed? And at that point, we can make the clinical judgments on medications you should probably be on to prevent it from getting worse. And if we want to go the invasive route here at DHR Health, a lot of times we do is we follow that. If your risks are really high, especially if you're symptomatic, we'll follow it with coronary CT or where we kind of try to assess the perfusion and see, is the heart getting adequate oxygen and getting the adequate blood flow it needs to function and survive. And if that's not the case, we will see that and then lead you to the next procedure, which is usually a coronary angiogram, where we do an actually invasive procedure and go to the heart and treat it.
From the DHR Health Heart Institute, cardiologist Dr. Francis Dimtree, DHR Health.
This has been Spotlight on Your Health, brought to you by DHR Health. For you, for life.
Are you struggling with blurred vision, finding it difficult to see distant objects, or having trouble reading? Refractive lens exchange is the only procedure that corrects